what would you tell people today? Would you tell people today to avoid it? Would you tell people today to go right at it? Would you tell people
You
today,
know,
say, just prove the quality of your service? I mean, how would you think about it?
I think you have to prove the quality of your service no matter what, right?
Yeah.
I think that your business has to stand on its own laurels, and you have to be able to do best quality, high quality business every time you step out the door.
Yep.
That has to be the case.
Yep.
But if depending upon the industry that you're working in, the type of business that you're trying to run, it may make sense to come right out, especially right now in this time. To be honest, there's a heightened awareness of the plight of African Americans and what's going on. There's a lot of Buy Black campaigns and support Black businesses campaigns. So right now, it probably makes a lot of sense to advertise that you are a Black-owned company.
Yep.
Honestly, though, from my perspective, and I know that there are a lot of people that feel this way as well, how long will that last, right? Is a short-term situation? Yep. So you just want to make sure you set yourself up for the long haul. What I would say is that I'd start with my professionalism and the value of my services first, and let that lead. Yep. We've had to make some very difficult decisions that I'm not proud about, but even with the staff that we hire, there are certain companies that they're Black owned and they will only hire Black employees, and they feel great about that.
Yep.
From our perspective, I wanted a diverse group of people. We wanted to make sure that we represented that, it wasn't a situation where we were just purposefully hiring a certain race or color. We wanted to represent the community. We wanted to have the diversity of our county, which is one of the most diverse counties. And so we wanted to be an example of how all businesses should run. And it should not be based upon who is the ownership of the company. It should be based upon who's the best person to fit into the company. But there are those.
It's almost like, Stephen, you go right at it, right? You basically say, I mean, it sounds so ridiculous because it's completely different than when you started, right? It's almost like you say, listen, we're a Black-owned business, right? And I understand whether it's healthcare or some other industry, there's a lot of support for Black-owned businesses, but you should not do business with us because we're a Black-owned business. You should do business with us because we're kick-ass business.
Exactly.
And almost go at it, right? Because you have, obviously, to your point, you have minority supplier diversity programs where big companies are purposefully going out of their way, right, to provide a certain amount of their purchasing to people of color and women and other stuff. But it's almost like turning on its head. Everybody could raise their hand and say, hi, I'm a Black-owned business.
Yeah.
But if you came out and said, I'm a Black-owned business, but that's not why you should do business with me.
Exactly. I like that. I think that's a valid take on it. And I think that's a good way to approach it. Because, and here's the other thing, the challenge of being an African-American owned business is that you don't get as many times to get it wrong, right? Yep. Other companies can make a mistake and fail, and they'll get another opportunity and what have you. But sometimes when you're leaning on I'm an African-American owned business, give me a shot.
Yeah.
All you get is a shot. That's all you get, right? Yeah. And so we were just in conversation with a major Fortune 500 company just a couple of days ago. We were discussing with the diversity and inclusion VP, and one of the stories that she was sharing with me was that there was a minority-owned company that had won a big contract with this company. They made one mistake, and after they made that mistake, the entire corporation cut them off. Right? No, everyone said, so we gave him a chance. He made a mistake, and it was so bad that as she started asking about what was the mistake that company made, no one even knew what the mistake was. Yeah. And by the time they got to the origin of what this mistake was, it was so small that it was crazy. But the bottom line is that we don't have an opportunity to make a lot of mistakes. So you still have to lead with high quality, putting your best foot forward. And this is what we did.
Well, I think that, it's almost like, playing baseball where you strike out after one strike, right? You don't get
Yes,
straight.
exactly. Exactly. That's a good analogy.
Now, one of the challenges, right, is we're already, the Black community, like you said, is already fighting against some of these biases, right? And then as an early stage company, you have to even do better than everybody else, right? Then
Exactly.
because you don't get those things. But I think to your point, if you, like we're talking, if you set a bar and say, this is the bar we should be evaluated on, right? And forget about whether we're red, green, or purple. That's the bar. Again, these are systemic things that shouldn't exist, but part of what we're trying to do together, right, in Black Entrepreneur Initiative is give people insight, is not just to say this is the challenge, right, but what do you do? And part of it is what you had to do back then, because imagine going back then and say, I'm a Black owned business, right?
Yeah.
You visit us, they would have just probably walked out the
Exactly.
door, right?
But I mean, here's the thing though, that what I would say, Michael, and I always say this, and I think that, I think the bottom line is that everyone is going to have their share of obstacles and challenges that come their way, right? As a business owner, there's going to be some predetermined bias, whether or not it's being African American, or it may be that you're part of the LGBTQ community, or maybe you came up on the other side of the tracks, the lower income, socioeconomical challenges. There always are going to be challenges, and I think that the I guess the what I like about entrepreneurship is that you get a chance to figure out how to get around those challenges and still hit a home run, right?
Yep.
And so the coming to work every day and trying to figure out how to solve an issue is what really empowers me and makes me tick and want to come and get it every day, so that I'm not doing the same thing over and over again. So I kind of get a little motivation when I get an obstacle thrown my way to figure out how do I get around it, right? And so I think that we can't, as an African American community, I think one of the things that we do a lot is that we use this as a crutch or as an excuse. And I don't, and I'm not making, I'm not, saying that it doesn't exist. It does. It's very, very real. But we also need to figure out a way to use things like the Black Entrepreneur Initiative and whatever it takes to get our way around it, recognize that it's there, but just figure out how to sidestep it and keep going.
Awesome, Stephen. Great advice and great insights with somebody that's been in the trenches. So thank you.